So this is OneDrive. And I know a lot of our staffers will get confused, like, well, how do I get to it? Like, I don't know what to do. I'm on a Chromebook or I'm on a Mac. I can't do this. It's very, very easy. Just go to your web browser, go to office.com. This account is already signed in, but it would take you to the Office sign-in page. You just enter your email and password, and it will take you to this portal. From here, you can go up to I like to call it the hamburger menu, and you can see all the different apps that you have access to. Now, depending on your licensing, you'll have different varying levels of apps, but at the core, you should always see OneDrive if you've been even assigned an A1 license. And right here is the OneDrive Blue Clouds. Now, before we go in there and click into that really quick, I wanted to help explain. There's this little menu over here where you can view all apps, and you can pin things over here if you so chose. So say, for example, you want it to show up over here, you can do that by adding it. But we're going to go through the hamburger menu, and we're going to go into OneDrive. Now, here we can see, this is Bruno, my IT administrator in my fake school, Pineview Public Schools. And here is his desktop documents and pictures and some CSV files that he has for the various schools that he works for. And you can come in here and see that these files are all private, meaning they're not shared externally. When I had to do this on the Google side or others, I had to go in properties and all this other stuff to figure out where it was shared and how. It was just very convoluted. Here, super simple. You can see it right under My Files. Now, like I was talking about earlier, we also have some intelligence. So it'll see what recent files you've worked on. It'll also show you what other files people have shared with you recently. And you can filter it by Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF files, and others. And that's super, super nice when you're working on things. You're like, darn it, I know I was working on a PowerPoint, but I can't remember the name of it. Let's go in here. Oh, that's right. That was the one I worked on yesterday. It makes it super, super simple. From here, you can go into that Share tab that I was talking about. So here's the stuff that's shared with you. And you can see if it's been shared by a SharePoint app, a SharePoint site, or the person that it was shared from. Or you can go to the Shared By You. Now, Bruno, he works in the IT department. He doesn't share a lot of stuff right now. But if he had, it would show up in here, and it would show who it was shared with, whether it was anonymous, and even like modified by and who made changes. So it's really kind of like awesome to see that you can also just go into this nice, quick, easy menu and see what's been shared by yourself. And then here is that recycle bin. Now, I know a lot of our customers asked, I accidentally deleted something out of OneDrive and I don't know where it went. I need to get it back. Here's where you're going to go. So this is the recycle bin, and as files are deleted out of your singular OneDrive, not SharePoint, that's different, out of your singular OneDrive, this is where those files will appear. Now, you have 30 days, technically, when the file is deleted. But there's a second stage recycle bin that gives you some additional time. Now, I don't like to preface with like, it's going to be an additional 15 days, it's going to be an additional 30, because in the documentation, I've noticed that it kind of varies. But at the bare minimum, it gives you an additional 15 days. Now, from there, say, for example, I wanted to create a file. And this is where a lot of our users might get confused. You can go into Word, make a new Word document, and then tell it to save. And it'll ask you where you want to save it to. But say, for example, you just want to be in your OneDrive and you just want to easily create a folder. Or sorry, a Word document. We'll come in here, click New, and here is the button to create a Word document. And it'll go ahead, pull that up for you. You'll notice that it'll auto-engage, auto-save, and the collaboration. Let me just type in something here real quick. And you can see up here, you've got your Share button, managing the access of it. You can see you've got your normal features within Word of catching up and what's gone on in the M365 ecosystem. But what's super nice and awesome about this is, say, for example, you do have the desktop clients installed. And you're like, oh, I really don't want to work in the online version. I really just want to work in the desktop variant. Well, you can click Editing, and then you can click on Open in Desktop App. Now I can't show you on this simulation because I don't have, like, I have Office installed, but it's under my personal account. But if you had like your normal business version installed, it would utilize that and open the file, and then you'd still be editing that file in real time. Even though you have the desktop version opened and accessing that file, I want to make sure we understand that even though it's the desktop equivalent, it is still modifying the version that is in OneDrive. And that makes it super awesome because some of our customers get confused. Well, if we do this, then we're going to be stuck in OneDrive online and we're not going to have access to the apps. No, you'll have it's a truly hybrid world. And that's why A3 includes the desktop applications, because there might be certain nuanced cases where you want the full desktop experience, where you want maybe some advanced macros, or you want some of the more nuanced pieces of like a flow that the computer processes instead of paying for it in the cloud. So there's certain use cases where the desktop application is still very, very useful. And then from here, let's go ahead and X out of that. Now we can see that that created at the root of my OneDrive. Very similar to how a lot of our other competitors work. Now the other part that's very awesome, say they install that OneDrive sync app that I was talking about earlier, they can come in here and sync. And what's going to be super awesome is, say they're at home and on a personal device and they want to be able to access their materials so they can, create some documentation for the kiddos the next day. Well, they can go home on their personal device, sign in, and then hit that sync button, and it will sync the files and they can work on it on their personal device. Now, some institutions may have this blocked for security, but most of my educational institutions do have this enabled. And what's super awesome is, say, for example, the teacher's very adamant that they want to use a Surface and they don't want to use the Chromebook that was given to them. Well, they can still use that Surface device that they personally bought and utilize it in the classroom. They just have to sign in with their Office account, sync it, and they can use it like it was like at school. Now, there are some nuances about how that works in terms of security, but long story short, it is still protected even though it's gone down to that personal device. The only nuance is if they have, stored offline copies of it on their local device and you're not managing it at all, like you didn't do BYOD, then technically the data would stay on that device until you had the ability to send out a command to wipe it. And we'll go way more into the security in the future. But I just wanted to kind of preface that it's super important and easy to be able to utilize this system and sync it across devices. Right here's the download button. So say you need to click on a file and download it easily. It's right there. And then here's that automate piece that I was talking about, where you can set up triggers and create a flow and get it to move between all the different systems. And so I just really wanted to show, and this is the end of the presentation today. We're